Public hearing on the proposed 2022 budget on this snowy Monday night, November 29 at 6 p.m. Before I get into a discussion on the individual components of the budget.
We're
Yep,
getting
I
some
just did.
feedback from the TV.
Yep. Okay.
Got it? Okay,
Sorry.
so that's all right. I thought I heard too much noise in the background. All right. As I started to say, welcome, and before I discuss the individual components of the budget, I want to highlight a few achievements of your town board. And I'd like to start by making this meeting an easy one and talk about the mill rate, which is the cost per thousand of assessed value that you pay for your that generates your property tax bill for the town. And the mill rate for 2020 was 86.5 cents per thousand. So if you have a $150,000 home, that would convert to $129.85 in property taxes. All right. In 2021, I'm happy to say that the mill rate is 86.6 cents per thousand. So on that same $150,000 home, your property tax bill would go from $129.85 last year to a whopping $129.99. That's an increase of 15 cents. So I think the town has done well in managing your money as well as other little things that we do. So where does that put us in comparison with did an analysis of governmental units in all of Door County, and Sevastopol was the third lowest. Only the town of Egg Harbor and the town of Sturgeon Bay were lower, and the town of Egg Harbor beat us out by a penny. So we were pretty close to being second lowest. All comparisons aside, we have a beautiful town hall that is well used by our community, and it is mortgage free. We also have zero debt, another item that was mentioned in that article if you didn't see it. We have also removed a community eyesore this past year by demolishing the Muscat property. Those were the buildings that were across the street from the Mill Supper Club. It is your town board's intentions to make additional investments in 2022 to improve our town park with enhancements to the pavilion and tennis court, and perhaps also deal with further problem properties. So, just as a backdrop, I thought I'd share the good news with you if you hadn't seen it already. So, last year we had no one because of COVID. This year we have 3 people. So we've upped our attendance tremendously. So what I'll do is I'll take you through the town budget as I have in the past. And I won't focus on all 200 and whatever it is, number of items, but I will focus on those things where there's been a significant change or something that merits a point of interest. And I'll start on the first page under expenditures. The first item down there that is a change will be the clerk treasurer salary. We are taking our clerk treasurer up to $60,000 for 2022. That is a cost of living increase that follows inflation. We absolutely value what she's done for us, as you've heard me say in the past. She is the town for all intents and purposes, and certainly merits the increase based on the amount of effort she has put in for us and for you, the townspeople. Our attorney legal fees, we're going to keep those at the same $15,000. Our legal fees over the last few years have risen primarily because of two things the town board has taken action on. One is the short-term rental, and we will continue with that more from a compliance perspective in 2022. And also, she has worked through the building raise orders that we have done on the Muscat property, and as well as other buildings to follow in the next year. Dropping down to row 14, election supplies, increase from $1,750 to $3,500. That's primarily based on charges that we are given from others, as well as maintenance and equipment, and also it's impacted by the number of elections that we have. And you see that in line 14 with election poll workers, where we go from $3,000 to $8,000 because of a potential 4 elections in 2022. Postage, line item 17. I only mention this because I think this is an example of the outstanding thing that Amy does for us. Knowing that there was a postage increase, she went and pre-bought, what, $3,000 worth of stamps?
Yes.
I know you might think that's minor, but I wish I could say that I had done that for my home. So she took advantage of that, and that's why the postage jumped up beyond our budget. Excuse me, and it is lower for next year. Under assessor reval, line item 21, we continue to put money towards the eventual reval, another $5,000, which brings us to $114,000 last year, so another almost $120,000. And as our assessor mentioned to us earlier, we are closing in on that point where we'll have to consider a revaluation. Excuse me. All right, hopefully that was the end of that. Tax collection fees, line item 23, goes up from $2,400 to $4,000, and that's an increase that's passed on to us by the county. They're the people that generate our tax bills and do the actual collection, and they increase their fee for the first time in, what, 20 years, Amy?
Yes.
So, not that great, but they did increase them. Flipping the page, line item 27, Town Hall grounds. Our budget is going to go from $2,500 to $5,000. We have some repair work on the ground. Specifically, one item would be our concrete walkway out front. If you've noticed, for some reason, it's decided to no longer be one solid slab. Town Hall repair and maintenance, that's a decrease from $10,000 to $8,000. Although we do have a roof section that over the front entrance that is given up the ghost and is going to need to be repaired, and we're in the process of getting that roof replaced in that area. Park grounds, line item 33. We are continuing with the same dollar budget of $17,000, even though our expected year end is $15,000. We're doing that because essentially we have given our employees all a raise. As you have seen in the marketplace, you can get $15 an hour at McDonald's. We're not interested in having our park employees disappear to flipping burgers. So we've given them a raise to maintain our competitive posture. Line item 40, Wisconsin retirement system. There's an increase in that category over the prior year, and that's due to an adjustment in the rate from the state, as well as a raise for Amy. As she gets an increase, our contribution increases. Line item 43, short-term. Oh boy, good time to have this. Line item 43, short-term rental expense, $15,000. This is the membership with Granicus, the software company we are using to implement that, as well as administrative costs and postage. And that'll be offset by income later on in this discussion. Room tax administrative cost of $20,000. When the county went from 5 to 8% on room tax, it changed the methodology that the town has to use to pay its fair share of the Door County Room Tax Commission or zone. And instead of that money coming out of the 70-30 split with Door County Visitors Bureau, it now comes out on a formula based on how much income we receive from room tax. We're expecting that to be in the category of $20,000. All right. Fire protection, line 48. This is the coming, 2022 is the final year of our 3-year agreement with the city for fire protection. So our fees are going from $366 to $377 next year. And next year we will have to deal with the renewal of that for a future year starting in 2023.
Can we ask a question?
Sure.
I'm just wondering, for fire protection,
Yes?
doesn't insurance cover it? I don't know this answer, but I'm wondering, doesn't our insurance pay for that, like our personal insurance for?
No.
No? Okay.
This is fire protection provided by the city. So if this building burns, we do not have a fire department. So they'd come hopefully and catch it while there's still some building left.
Okay.
One item in the first responder, line 51, their training. They have their meetings and they give us their expected budget items. In this case, they've increased theirs from $2,700 to $4,800, and that's because they have additional training planned for next year. Line item 59, under Public Works, road maintenance and mowing. That goes from $8,000 this year to $22,000 next year. Every other year, our budget increases or doubles depending on the estimated cost from the county, because we go from doing a single cut on the edge of the road to doing a fence line to fence line cut. And so next year is the fence line to fence line, so they end up spending significantly more time trimming back the weed growth. Road maintenance and repairs, line item 60. We had budgeted $36,000, our actual is negative $34,000. And this is more of an accounting, if I recall, right, Amy?
Correct.
I think we actually had some items that were under maintenance that should have been under construction or vice versa, and so we moved that around. But we're continuing with the same $36,000 for the upcoming year. Road construction, we continue to try and chip away at the 87 miles of the road in the town, and I've mentioned in the past, generally speaking, you get your road paved once every 40 years. We're trying to improve upon that, so we're going to increase our budget for next year from the $300,000 to $400,000 for new construction. Traffic and street signs, currently this will be at $6,000. We have the county taking care of our street signs. On our road tours, we have found that far too many of our street signs have either become bleached by the sun or knocked over by the plow or leaning or whatever. And so we're trying to play catch up in that category as well. So if someone sees a street sign that's bleached out, you can't read it, the post is knocked over, whatever, please feel free to call the town hall and we'll get it taken care of. We do a road tour in May and we try and pick up anything that we hadn't caught the year before. Snow removal. I say this hopefully with my fingers crossed because it's been snowing twice already and I think we'll end up having a plow. But we budgeted $130,000 in 2021 as our costs had escalated year over year. We were down below that significantly this past year, so we're going to try and go back to $100,000, which would be a decrease. And hopefully the snowman does not get at us. But that's at best a good guesstimate. I think that takes care of everything on that page. Okay, on line item under Town Park, on line item 78, we have Town Park Fields. And our budget was $2,500 last year. In 2022, it's $11,500. We have entered into an agreement with the Sevastopol School District to do a major renovation to the baseball field. And that work is scheduled to be done in the summer of 2022, and that's the difference there. We are actually splitting the cost with the school district for the repair of that field where it's been a problem with water runoff. Okay, dropping down the line item, excuse me, 89, broadband expansion grant.
Derek has a question.
Yes,
Which field is it, the one closest to us?
The baseball field, the big one.
The big one? Okay.
right. Okay, broadband expansion grant, we had budgeted $75,000 for a broadband partnership with Door County Broadband. That did not occur in 2021. We are carrying those funds over into 2022. We are also looking at using some of our ARPA funds for broadband. We recently received the preliminary results of the broadband study that was commissioned by the Door Economic Development Council. And they are working with the county and trying to get all of the different towns together to understand what opportunities might this give us, and asking us to pool some of our resources to maybe get something really started in the way of broadband expansion. So we'll keep you up to speed on that as we move forward. Speaking of the Door County Economic Development Council, they've asked us to help fund their efforts. So for this year, we are going to be budgeting $1,000. The money we did in the past was our contribution. The $55,000 was our contribution for the study that they undertook and that was just completed. Sturgeon Bay Visitors Bureau, we had in the past given them $5,000 for funding their organization, but with the 8% room rate increase, we feel that they will be adequately funded without any additional funds from the town. So we are not putting anything forward for that group this year. There is a slight increase in the Door County Coastal Byways, and that's due to an increase in dues and also their desire to improve their website and make some other enhancements. So, drop down to the bottom of that page, line item 101, Capital Park Recreation. We have a significant increase in funds there, going from a $40,000 budget to next year is $148,000. The funds that are in there are monies that we have accumulated at the town level, some monies that we expect to use from our ARPA funding from the feds, and we're making investments there for replacement of a lawnmower, as well as working on the pavilion, making some enhancements to the pavilion, as well as reconstruction of the tennis courts. So hopefully you'll see some action on that next spring, summer. Okay. Well, no, we have no debt service. Why do I have that highlighted? Oh, I know, that's why. Because we have no debt service. Pretty good. So anyhow, total, line item 109, total expenditures and debt, $1,523,348 for 2022. And then we drop down to revenue, where are we getting all of this money? One of the areas is the highway aids. Each year we receive highway aids from the state. The state has been ever so begrudgingly raised the amount of highway aids that we get. Next year we expect to get $227,000. We're going to spend all of that and another approximately $175,000 for road construction. On line item 116, LRIP trip. Every few years, the county has a pot of money that they share with different towns. We were fortunate last year to get $20,000 for road construction. We applied for next year, did not receive any funding, that's why that item is blank. Line item 121, room tax reimbursement. Part of the arrangement with Destination Door County is that they will rebate back to us our room tax costs. So earlier I mentioned that we expected that to be about $20,000. We are expecting them to rebate back the $20,000 that we spend on tourist-related activities, which in this case means, since our town has limited tourism per se, will be park enhancements to bring the public in. So hopefully that all washes out. And then dropping down to 127, short-term rental license fees. I mentioned earlier the costs associated with implementing the short-term rental ordinance, and this is the recovery side of that, where we will receive license fees that offset those software costs and some of that administrative cost to implement the short-term rental ordinance.
I do have a question on number 126.
On what number?
126, the license for the dogs.
License for the dogs.
Yes.
Okay.
I know it sounds really stupid, but for spayed or neutered, it's $3, and intact, it's $8 per year, right? That,
We
Just-
only get to,
I have to give Amy, I don't
Okay.
keep track
Yep,
of
that's
that.
correct, but we only get about 25 cents per tag.
oh,
The
okay.
town keeps that, and the rest goes to the county.
Oh, okay, because I'm like, it doesn't make sense that only 8 dogs
Yep.
would be, okay.
I'm gonna guess you have a dog.
Yeah,
Oh, there you go. I don't have a dog.
Tell
and they-
anybody.
I do have another question on, so that relates to numbers 53 through 55, I think. Yeah, animal control,
I'm sorry, what number, what page? are-
53, 54, and 55.
Okay, have to go back there.
Yeah, on animal control.
All right,
I'm just-
53, animal, yes.
It just seems like a lot of money for stray dogs. Can't we just deal with the stray animals by ourselves?
No,
Or if we have a stray animal, we call and we pay for it to be removed?
I wish that were the case.
Okay,
What happens is,
well, we're contract.
we contract,
you
yes.
did,
and-
okay.
and- Yes.
We contract for that service. What was happening in the past, quite frankly, is I would get a call and someone would tell me to come pick up the dog. So after you've done a few of those, you decide that that's really not your forte. And so
Yeah.
we contracted, as other towns do, with one person who picks up the dogs and then takes those dogs to the Humane Society. And then the owner is supposedly comes in, pays the necessary fees, et cetera. And then we do a donation to the Door County Humane Society. The Door County Humane Society gets funding. There is no mandatory funding. They get all their fundings through donations and contributions. So we pay to contribute towards that, because without them, we'd have a significant problem, so. Okay? Help me where I was.
128.
Yeah.
128, all right. Building permits. Budgeted 49.5 in 2021, increasing it to 55,000 in 2022. The town receives 10% of the building permits. There's a offset to that on expenses as well as revenue. So the gist of it is we pick up approximately $5,000 out of the building expense. The rest goes to the inspectors. Town hall rental income. Hopefully, if COVID and all the other variants remain calm, cool, we expect the town hall rental income to increase to $1,200. That's pretty minor, but I think we've already had some people that have started to use the facility even as recently as last Thursday, right?
Yes, correct.
So it is available again. Field reimbursement, line item 136. This comes from the school district, and it's been $3,500 in the past. We're in the process of renegotiating that for the future. Why you see the increase of $7,000 at the year end is because they ended up paying us, instead of each year, it ended up getting a double payment in 1 year. Otherwise, it's standard at $3,500. Dropping down to 143, federal grants, ARPA, recovery, this is the federal money we talked about. The town is getting approximately $250,000. We received the first little more than half of that this year, so that's why the positive is in there of $139,000. We'll receive the second half in May of next, is it May, I think, Amy?
June.
Or June, for that. And there are a variety of projects that we're looking at to use some of those funds for, as well as other things besides broadband. Line item 153. This is interest that we receive on everything that's really outstanding. If anybody would like to borrow some money from the town and willing us to give us more than $1, we'd be interested in talking to you, if they need to refinance your mortgage, whatever. Essentially, it's $1,000 a year, but we've gone from years where we were at 8,000, so it's obviously just like your savings account. They're not paying us anything for our money either. So, okay. So flipping the page to taxes, 157, the tax levy, and I started out talking about the mill rate, all right? That mill rate, when you combine that up for all of the assessed value in the town, we are assessing a tax of $638,616. So you can see there what the increase has been. Basically, we have a top stop on the maximum amount of money that the town can levy in the way of tax, and that is based on the amount of new construction that happens within the town in the prior year. So for that, we got approximately a $7,000 increase year over year in what we could do in terms of tax levy. So if you drop down, you have revenues and receipts of $1,336,000. The town is applying a cash from our reserves of $186,000, balancing out the the total expenditures at $1,523,348. So that's everything on the budget. If somebody has a question, anything else that's out there, feel free.
I do have another question, just because I don't understand.
Don't feel bad, I don't either.
What? I'm just wondering about the park. It's very nice, and, but it seems like with all the expenses, we're not making, like, if you look at it like a business, we're not making enough for it to be profitable.
We don't
Losing.
run the park as a profit item.
Okay,
The only time that we ever had a little profit, and not at the park, but at the concession stand.
okay,
We don't even run the concession stand anymore, it doesn't pay. So the community groups that use like the ball fields, run the school, Institute Cubs and others, run the concession stand, and they benefit from it. They supply it, they run it. The park is just like any other common thing in the community. It's for the overall well-being and use of the community, and we'll never recover from it.
oh, okay.
We do have, if you want to take a little different look at it, we want people to use it as much as possible because we have a fixed cost there regardless. So if people don't use it, we still have to pay kids to come over and cut the grass and maintain and do all those things. So the more people that use it, the least that investment, it's a better decision. But we have a fixed cost, and we're never even come close to approaching to recover any cost for that facility. As same goes with Clark Lake Beach. If you've been there, the boat ramp at Clark Lake and the Whitefish Bay Park boat ramp down there, operated all under the same guidelines. So Okay? All right, anyone else? Any other questions? All right, if not, we will end the public hearing on the proposed budget. And we'll take a couple minutes for our videographer to change over, and then we'll move on to the special town meeting. So, take a couple minute recess or hold here.